The method call is very similar to a function call, but as with a constructor call, Python automatically adds the method call object as a method parameter. Let's continue the walkthrough of the previous example. Python first reads the person class definition in lines 1 through 7. Then in line 8, Python creates a new person object and assigns it to variable p. At time 43, the current line is 9, the current tab is 0, and the variables map contains p, which is Python reference 0, and the object store contains one object, which is a Python object with class name person, first name John, last name Smith, and age of 25. Line 9 is also an assignment. Python first evaluates the expression p.age in months. Python begins by pushing this method call into the expression stack. Then Python evaluates the child expressions, which are the object and any method arguments. Since age in months does not have arguments, there is just one child, p. P is Python reference 0. Python is now ready to evaluate the method call. Python first retrieves the object at index 0 of the object store and finds the class name of the object by retrieving the entry with key class name. The entry value is person, so Python retrieves the age in months method map from the person class map. The age in months method has one param self and begins in line 6. Python then prepares to construct a function input map in 3 steps. 1. Copy the age in months method parameters to the parameter stack. 2. Copy the top element from the value stack, reverse the element, and assign it to argument values. And 3. Assign an empty map to function input. Then, as with any function call, Python zips the parameters and argument values together and pushes them to function input. Next, Python saves the current context in the context stack and replaces the local variables map with a function input map. Python also retrieves the line number from the age in months method definition and jumps to the method body. Finally, Python records the class and the method that it is jumping to in the control map. In line 7, Python returns self.age times 12. Python first evaluates the expression self.age times 12. Notice how Python converted self.age into the getAdder function call with self and age. Python first evaluates the children getAdder function call and 12. Python now evaluates getAdder, self, and age. As with any function call, Python evaluates the call arguments first. Self is Python reference 0, and age is just age. GetAdder is a built-in function, so LWPython executes it in one step instead of jumping to a function. The top element of the value stack is age and Python reference 0. The second element is the location of the object. Thus, Python retrieves the element at index 0 of the object store, which is the Python object with class name person, first name John, last name Smith, and age 25. The first element, age, is the entry key. Python retrieves the entry value at key age and pushes it to the value stack. Next, Python evaluates 12 and pushes it to the value stack. The two operands are 12 and 25. Finally, Python pushes the product of the two values to the value stack. Python then stores the product in return value, restores the call site context, and jumps back to line 9. Python pushes the return value to the value stack. The method call is now complete. Finally, the output of the method call is assigned to the target age. Let's more formally describe the method evaluation process. Python begins evaluating a method call by pushing the method call into the expression stack. Python first evaluates the object and the method arguments. More precisely, if at time t the expression stack contains a method call with obj_name and mName with args, then at time t+1, obj_name and args are pushed to the expression stack. After the arguments have been evaluated, LWPython prepares to jump to the method by constructing the function input map. More precisely, if at time t the expression stack contains an empty element followed by the method call, and the value stack contains evaluated, and the variables map is VM, the object store is OS, and the class map is CMap, and parameters is none, and the reverse of evaluated is the stack with Python reference IDX and argvals, and the element at index IDX of the stack OS is the Python object with entry class name CLA and the rest of the entries, and the method parameters where the class map is CMap, class name is CLA, and the method name is mName is equal to params. Then at time t+1, evaluated is popped from the value stack, parameters is set to params, and argument values is the stack with Python reference IDX and argvals, which is the reverse of evaluated. Function input is an empty map, and the object store is still OS. LWPython then inserts the parameters and the corresponding argument values into function input. When parameters is empty, LWPython saves the current state and jumps to the method body. More precisely, if at time t the parameters is empty, argument values is also empty, and the function input contains the entries self and Python reference IDX and other function input, the object store is still OS and class map is still CMap, and the element at index IDX of stack OS is the Python object with entry class name CLA and other entries, and the line number of the method mName of class CLA and CMap is mLine. Then at time t+1, the line is mLine plus 1, tab is 2, the local variables map is the same as the function input map. The control map contains two entries, 0 and the pair class CLA, and 1 and the pair method and mName. The return statement inside a method call behaves exactly the same way as a return statement inside a function call. Also, the return statement is optional, so Python may reach the end of the method body without encountering a return statement. In this case, Python will look in the control map, see that it was inside a class method, and jump back to the method call site. Now let's see how Python retrieves an object attribute. First, Python converts object.attribute to the getAttr function call with object and attribute. Then Python evaluates the getAttr function call. After Python has evaluated the function call arguments object and attribute, the expression stack contains an empty element followed by the getAttr function call, and the value stack contains the attribute and Python reference IDX. If the element at index IDX of stack OS is the Python object with entries, and the value at attribute in entries is val, then Python is going to push val into the value stack and pop the empty element and the getAttr function call from the expression stack.